finna get your ass the game, man. You know I break it down. Come on, man, you know it's Bain.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Bain Break It Down Forex. It's your boy Big Bain in this thing. You guys guessed it, another week, another opportunity for us to make money in the Forex market. Let's get right to it. All right, boom, over on the dollar, guys. We got a nice rising wedge into our level of supply. The dollar should fall, but we're still bullish, right? So we haven't had any change of character or anything letting us know or giving us confirmation that the dollar will start falling. So until we get that, we are still bullish on the dollar. All right, this wedge or this channel can rise all the way up to that next level of supply, filling that imbalance before dropping. All right, but the chances are, we'll probably drop from this supply level. We just need to get that confirmation because there's so much imbalance above. All right, that's what that's all about. So with dollar, currently is bullish, but I am looking for it to eventually fall. All right, bearish on the dollar. All right, moving over to our dollar, and you can see currently in a sell position, but because I expect the dollar to fall, I do expect the odd dollar to rise. All right, so I'll close out my sell position. All right, because if it rises, it'll take away from that profit. All right, guys, so preparing for a potential rise from this demand level on odd dollar, pushing up to above this resistance area and possibly higher. All right, but it could also fall just a little deeper, but just to kind of get behind this demand area, nothing too heavy. All right, so bullish on our dollar. All right, over to euro dollar, and we have a nice falling wedge. All right, the way it looks is that we're going to continue pushing, sweep sell side liquidity, tap into demand, and then rise. All right, again, with the dollar falling, euro dollar will typically rise, right? It has almost 100% correlation with one another. Negatively correlated, but correlated nonetheless. All right, so waiting for euro dollar to push out of the wedge, sweep liquidity, tap into demand, and from there, guys, we're looking to take the buy. All right, bullish on euro dollar. All right, over to pound dollar. All right, like big brother, same exact makeup, doing the same exact thing. All right, so wait for price to hit our demand level, get a little bit of confirmation from that level, and then it's off to 331 pips to the top. All right, bullish on pound dollar. All right, New Zealand dollar, same kind of thing, right? It's just that on its pullback, it started to consolidate, but we can see it's currently falling. So potentially going to rise from the fair value gap, maybe drop a little deeper, get to this demand level, and then rise from there. All right, so you guys have some options on how you might want to go about playing that for a buy opportunity, but there's two on the table. All right, pick your poison. All right, bullish on New Zealand dollar. All right, over to dollar CAD, and we were down, now we're up. All right, change of character here on this high. That was a strong high that broke a weak low. Therefore, breaking that strong high is showing you that we have changed from down to up. All right, so we read the structure going through, and you can see that we also broke another high, right, as we pushed up. So that bullish presence is very, very strong. Therefore, we're getting higher lows. All right, therefore, we're still in a uptrend on dollar CAD, but there's been a lot of engineered liquidity that's been built. Okay, and this is why a lot of people get got, because they do not see this and know what this represents. All right, they don't even know that this is an area where a lot of money sits behind, right? They just look at it as a trend line, right? So if you know the money's behind here, then you know that's typically where price is going to go first. All right, before it fuels up and uses all that free money to go in the opposite direction. All right, it's a dirty game, but somebody's going to clean it up, and you're listening to them right now. All right, so initially bearish on dollar CAD, then we'll be looking to take that buy from this demand level, but for right now, bearish on dollar CAD. Moving over to dollar Swiss franc, and again, it's sitting at a resistance level where it kind of seems like it does not want to push above it. It is attempting though, so it might, but we have a strong level of resistance for the moment. So with the dollar looking bearish, right, dollar Swiss franc should also fall. All right, so look for that potential drop on dollar CHF, even though we do have a little bit of potential of it breaking because it attempted to do so many times. All right, that's what that's all about. Okay, but for now, I'm going bearish on dollar CHF. All right, over to dollar JPY. My team has already sold dollar JPY, and we are currently in profit, ladies and gentlemen. All right, if you want that to be you, come holler at me. All right, forexwithbain.com, and I'll get you in. Okay, but bearish on dollar JPY, expecting it to get to this level of demand, and we'll make 421 pips on this trade. One trade, that's all you need, guys. All right, so UJ for the win. Hop in if you can. And this is a good re-entry price where price is rising up right now. All right, so you got a good shot. Get in there. All right, bearish on UJ. All right, over to pound odd. Again, we caught over 400 to 500 pips on pound odd last week. Now pound odd is at a low, and it's giving us a floor. All right, and when we take a look at that floor, we can see we got a bit of a double bottom. All right, you guys can probably see it better on the 15-minute time frame, and whoop, there it is. All right, so check it out. It's here and here. All right, those equal lows. We know how it goes. Boom, bam, boom, bam. We're waiting for the neckline to break. Right, when we do that, when that happens, we're just going to simply wait for a higher low to be created. All right, guys, at this point, we have everything we need. The break, the retest, and the bull showing up. It's all she wrote. Pull the trigger, stops below the equal lows because that is a liquidity area, and this is where they want to push down to collect before rising. All right, but if you just place your stop loss a good distance behind that, you're going to be good, and you're going to be able to survive that trade and get in on the actual, reversal of the structure. So you're going to get in at the very beginning from where it's going down to switching to going up, right? And there's no more beautiful way to get into a trade than at the beginning of it. All right, so again, pound odd, I am bullish off the double bottom, and it will be one of the plays of the week. All right, but wait for that confirmation, and then you're good to go. All right, over to dollar CAD. This has a great setup for a buy right now, guys. Break of the high, made the new high, made a double top, broke the neckline, pulled back. Then we got the bearish engulfing candle, and it was all she wrote after that. Major news hit, I believe, on that move, but regardless, just a major move, right? Pulling back to the area of demand that initiated the break of this high, leaving this to be a strong demand area, which we are currently at right now, and price can rise from it. All right, I'm gonna buy right now because it's time. All right, stop loss here and take profit at the top. All right, guys, 365 pips on the table. If you want it, you got it. All right, take that. Dollar CAD, no diddy. All right, here we go. Dollar Swiss franc. Okay, and here, right, this has been the play that we've been waiting on and waiting on. All right, and it's finally here. All right, so break of the low, the new low, pullback, right? The pullback was over, so we should have dropped breaking below this low, which can still happen because we're in bearish market structure here, but we're at this major demand level. All right, again, broke some highs along the way, right to the left, so still very bullish. It's just now we're back at that zone and we could rise from it. So definitely a good bullish opportunity purchasing it from the low, right, with the stop loss, just below that low, and taking it up to this level of supply that has plenty of imbalance sitting right below it, and liquidity from the pullback of this overall downtrend. All right, so saying all that to say I am bullish on pound CHF. All right, moving over to GJ. All right, looking at GJ on, let's say, the 4-hour time frame. All right, and we got the break of the high, the new high. We started pulling back, and it does look like we're going to continue to drop with GJ. It's just very, a lot of consolidation here. All right, so a lot of indecisiveness, and for the most part, it can go either way. But because we initiated that change of character for the beginning of the pullback, we should expect it to continue pulling back until it sweeps, every bit of liquidity to the downside, right? Before potentially rising, all right? But for now, bearish on GJ, all right? Over to pound New Zealand, and once again, a nice double bottom, right? Coming from this nice downward move, right? We just broke the neckline, so we should expect pound New Zealand to pull back to retest the area that it just broke, right? And from there, price should take off. It may dip down to sweep liquidity below the double bottom, all right? Because that's typically where your liquidity sits, behind double bottoms, double tops, triple bottoms, triple tops, right? So the more you understand that, the more you can take advantage of it, all right? So watch out for the sweep first of those equal lows, and then from there, this is your key target area that you want to buy from, right? This is how you get away with a very tight stop, guys, and a great risk to reward, all right? Start taking it up just like that, and it should be all she wrote, all right? For pound New Zealand, I am bullish, okay? Over to oil, all right? And we are waiting for oil to do a nice sweep of liquidity and tap into this demand area before we buy it, all right? Plenty of imbalance and buy side liquidity to the upside for price to gravitate to, all right? But initially, we got to load up with the liquidity, others people money, right, to fuel that position, okay? So again, you can potentially sell it right now with a very tight stop, right? But again, we're getting 1, 2, 3 equal highs. So initially, when we get the sell side liquidity, we will turn around and hunt for that buy side, which is here and also above this previous swing. All right, so that's a lot of money on the table for oil, all right, with a very nice bullish setup. Just wait for the retracement and then wait for the bulls to show up. 1 or 2 candles with body should do it, do you justice. And right when you see it, go ahead and pull the trigger, all right? Bullish on oil. All right, over to silver. Silver's a little mixy only because it broke the high, it made the new high, and now we're trying to see what the detailed structure will be. All right, so on the 15-minute, all right, looking at it, and my team did sell this, so we are surviving by the hair of our chinny chin chin, right? So barely got stopped out, guys. Still in the trade and still looking for it to drop, as we got a slight change of character here with our retracement, right? In this resistance area, right? Looks like we did get a sweep, but now it looks like it did do a deeper sweep than that, and now it may potentially begin to drop. If so, guys, we will make a huge profit on silver. All right, bearish on silver. All right, over to gold, and we'll look at it on the higher time frame. Okay, and gold looks bearish. All right, ladies and gents, so I expect it to tap into the supply area and then drop from here, but it seems like it's already done what it's going to do. So I would actually sell gold here with the stop right above this high, but it's very, very touchy because again, it can still push up and really get into supply before dropping. So you can wait for that, or you can just set your stop loss above the supply area so that you don't have to really worry and it'll all play itself out. All right, but bearish on gold. All right, to natural gas, we have a nice rising wedge. All right, so looking at it is definitely looking like a bearish opportunity, but I think we're going to sweep the equal highs first before we do the drop. All right, so try to make sure you get in from the top and not right now where price is. All right, if you do that, you'll have a better risk to reward and a chance of not getting hunted. All right, so bearish on natural gas. moving over to SPY, and we do have a nice rising wedge. All right, so SPY is still bullish, right? But it did give a slight change of character here, and it's starting to fall. All right, so it may get to this demand level and then continue bouncing up, or it may break it and then we may start that pullback all the way to the break of structure or one of our key points of interest to our demand zone. Right, so if that happens, well, we got to wait to see, which one happens, if it respects it or not, and play it accordingly from there. All right, so SPY should begin that pullback because again, it looks like it finished its highs. But if it doesn't, right, if it respects this demand, then look to potentially take it long. But I will go with bearish on SPY. I do believe we're going to get that drop this week. All right, over to NAS, same makeup, same MO, and 600 million shares or something to that nature was sold from either Elon or Jeff Bezos or the both of them, right? Somebody's selling because they know something we don't. All right, so I expect major volatility in the market right out the gate because of that. All right, guys, so use that economic news, right, in conjunction with price action, right, to get into one hell of a play. All right, bearish on NAS. All right, moving over to US 30, last but not least, and bearish on US 30 as well. We just did a sweep of liquidity, so again, we could respect this demand and start to rise, right? But I can take my profit now. Obviously, it's just the news about everything from crypto to the indices, right, will affect the big tech companies, right, will affect the indices. So I'm looking for US 30 to continue falling to this break of structure for over 1,275 points. Right, big plays for the big dogs. All right, roof. I see you, big dog. All right, anyways, guys, y'all know what time it is. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Right, tell a friend and tell a friend, tell your auntie, uncle, cousin, all them to come holler at me if they really want to get down with the get down, right? Anytime, in between time. Y'all know what it is. It's your boy. Peace.
Want to get money? Want to get paid? That's Forex. Like a sensei, then you know you got to come and swing my way. And if you want to fast forward here, replay.